Yeah, let's do it. All right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. I did notice, Brett, I don't know if you noticed this, and I think maybe, it's because we are so cool and awesome. But when I watched one of our videos the other day, what commercial comes on before the show starts? Savage. Johnny Depp playing guitar with wild wolves in the desert. Savage. And then I looked up Savage in French, and it means wild. So that is the commercial that I watched today when I watched one of our shows. It was hilarious.
Driving into work every day, I hear the commercial on the radio for Navage.
Oh, but that's a nasal thing, right?
It is.
And that's what's crazy is Savage does not sound good. I know it means wild in French, but when I hear Savage, I think of I don't know, an anal cleansing or something. I don't think of something.
It sounds like an uppity way of saying savage. Savage.
Well, there's very much an entomological discussion over the years about the word savage and wild and savage. That's exactly where savage comes from. You are exactly right, dude.
Look at me 2 weeks or two windows in a row.
You just pulled that out of your ass and you had no clue that there was a connection between the word savage and savage, but there is.
Well, I mean,
there is a connection.
I've drank enough liquor that all the crevices of knowledge in my brain have smoothed out for the most part.
All right, well, that's good.
Occasionally, I unlock a kernel or two.
It's like when I was 12 and I found out that the German word Hund, which means dog, not soccer, it means dog, is just generally a direct evolutionary word where the word hound came from. Hund, hound. Yeah. So a lot of words
evolve down to accents. They're trying to say hound, Derek, but they're just saying hund.
But yeah, who's the first asshole in the neighborhood who's like, it's not hund, it's hound. It's not how it happened. It was like a slow evolution of how words and language changes over time. So anyhow, interesting shit. All right. Maybe not for a lot of other people, though. All right, we got Berhalter's. How many did it end up being?
26.
Okay.
Look at that. I was right.
You were right, asshole. I was predicting 33, and we got 26.
And I predicted every single person he called in. Crazy.
No, you didn't.
You have no evidence to prove me otherwise.
But I wasn't far off, I got to say.
Well, Derek, in fairness, you called everybody in from MLS, so you're bound to get it right.
Yeah, I know. There aren't a lot of options, but calling in, say, Austin Trusty, that's kind of like a hit or miss option there. Nobody had Kobe Henry, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
So let's start with the goalkeepers there, because that's the easiest part. I mean, you got John Poolskamp, which I don't know if I get it or not. He's a backup keeper for SKC. He played 8 or 9 games this season. He wasn't all that amazing in them. And I'm not going to complain about it because it's goalkeepers. It's the least of my worries right now, because we did get Salonina, who I predicted, and Turner.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see this Poolskamp thing coming. I'm not disappointed with it because he's 20 years old?
20 years old, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's okay. Bring a young guy in. But
yeah, my take on the whole thing is that obviously Turner's going to start. It's one game. You just have, at that point, you just have to have another body if the worst were to happen. Or maybe we're doing so well and we're winning that Berhalter decides to give a few minutes or a second half to one of them. But yeah, call in the young goalkeepers. We need to start looking for the next generation there.
And that's what he did. I mean, he could have brought in Brad Guzan or someone else, or let's preface this conversation. People are going to be like, why is so-and-so there not there? Why is so-and-so not there? All right, first of all, let's preface this. Number one, if you play in Europe and you're actually playing, you're not going to come to this camp.
Even if you're not playing, it's not likely.
Yes, it's an MLS camp. Unless your name's Brian Reynolds and
Taylor Booth.
You're not coming. Okay. You've got responsibilities. You're still getting paid by your club to play actual games. So no, you're not coming to this camp. It's not a FIFA window. Number two, if you're an MLS player playing on any of the 4 last teams still in MLS playoffs, you're not on this roster. That's just a given. You're not going to be called up. You have playoffs to go play. And if you lose, you probably, that's going to be somewhat emotional and whatever. And I think even Berhalter mentioned this in the interview. He said, yeah, I mean, we're not going to bring those guys in, even if they lose in the semifinals.
He talked about how it's going to be, it's an emotional time for them. They're just going to let them recover. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're playing.
I agree with
that. They're playing. So, unless you're Sands and you're injured. So that's another thing to bring up. So I guess the whole point of this being, you have to understand, where the limits are for this, because I see a lot of people on like Filippo's show or Pete's show, and they're like, oh, hey man, hey, where's Paxton, not Pomacall, Paxton, Aronson. Yeah. And it's like, well, he's still in the playoffs and he plays for that team. So no, he's not going to be there. Where's Keaton Parks? I love Keaton Parks, but he's still playing. NYC are still in the playoffs. So no, none of those guys are going to come. So now that that's out of the way, let's move to defenders, because some of these were, I don't know. Anyhow, we'll take it one player at a time. How about I do that? George Bello, left back, totally expected.
Yep.
I think I had him on the sheet. I think everybody did. Justin Shea, who's probably going to be played as a right back, just guessing, is one of the defenders as well. I think Pete had him as a CB, but I don't think so. Well, I think he's going to play right back.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the list, I guess. And let's talk about that afterwards, I guess, because yeah.
Well, I mean, we can.
We have two. He could play right back. We have 2 right backs already, and even Taylor Booth plays right back from time to time.
Yeah, but Taylor Booth's not going to play right back.
I agree with you on that, but we already have 2 right backs in at that point.
Taylor Booth is more likely to play midfielder, like one of the 8 spots. He's not going to play. I don't think he's going to play winger. I think if he plays as an 8. Like
you're breaking into my formation already. Stop it.
All right. Anyhow, but we're not doing formation until next show. So I know. Jonathan Gomez, happy to see him here. I'd like to see him get the start, but good to have him here. Kobe Henry was another one of the Revelations Cup kids. He's a big, tough, still late, needs a lot of work, obviously, at this point, as far as positioning and his footwork. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see him here. I'm not complaining about it. Henry Kessler, I think Henry Kessler's already hit a ceiling. I hate to say that.
Well, I mean, it's Camp Cupcake. We're historically speaking, we have like half the roster set for people who've hit their ceiling, and then we mix in a bunch of young prospects. That's generally how it usually goes.
I know, but wouldn't you rather see, I don't know, somebody else, a center back, another young center back from some MLS or one of our U23? I don't know. I would, because I think Henry Kessler's done. I think his goose is cooked. I don't think that goose is going to get any tastier or any more succulent. It's done, and it's an average goose. So I don't know. I just, it's fine having him here, but I think he's space filler. That's what I think he is. For Brooks Lennon, I guess Gregg wanted him even before in other camps, and Atlanta being Atlanta.
And he talks about it. He talked about it in the interview. He basically stated he likes how his attack game, getting up into the attack and getting into the box and being confident with it.
Yep.
So, and plus they wanted to see him in the the Olympic qualifiers, but Atlanta nixed that. So he's definitely been on their radar. But it's not somebody you can just throw into the current World Cup qualifying roster because, well, we're about 12 people deep and right back.
Yeah. I mean, Brooks Lennon's got no chance going forward of ever playing a World Cup qualifier for this team unless there is a plane crash or, or everyone that plays right back for us gets, anal herpes. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. So it's nice to see him here. I like him. I think he's a good player. I like his motor, but yeah, he's got no shot. Aaron Long's back, but I think it's just to keep him fit or get him fit, get his fitness back. I don't think he's going to play.
No.
Kevin Paredes, nice to see him here. And we'll see what happens. He's a dual nat. And this is just another way to kind of, spread some honey on a piece of toast in front of him and say, hey, this could be your future. So stick with us. Brian Reynolds. Oh, Brian Reynolds. Your time at Roma since the special one arrived has been very dark and gloomy. But this gives you at least an opportunity to show us something.
Well, on top of that, we also found out after the interview that he's not joining until after their cup game. It sounds like Reynolds might get some playing time, if not start, in their upcoming cup game.
He might. I think he'll be on the bench, but we'll see. He might get some cup game. Cup time, maybe. That's where Miazga gets his time now at Alaves. Austin Trusty. And I think it was Brian Schroeder who told us that guy's having a great season. And I knew he was. I just didn't realize it was that good until Brian mentioned it. And then I went back and watched some vid and some highlights and blah, blah. Yeah, he's been good. He's been really good. Reclamation project kind of dumped by Philadelphia. So, yeah, that's not a bad call-up. I'm okay with it.
And then use the Wando example of sometimes players just need greener pastures. Not saying that Colorado's greener than Philadelphia, but it's a different scene for him.
Sometimes you just need a different voice. Like if you hear the same voice, the same coaches, blah, 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 they already have like this fixed opinion that is really hard to crack or break. This fixed opinion on you and your limitations or whatever. And you go somewhere else and they're like, hey, let's start with an open book. That's really healthy for a lot of players. They're like, okay, I'm glad you're looking at me like it's fresh start and we can still move forward. Whereas Philadelphia kind of said, yeah, he hit a ceiling. I think we're done with him. And he might not be done, but he'll need to eventually move away. So, he needs to go to Europe eventually. If you want to play on this team, unless your name is Walker Zimmerman or Miles Robinson, which was startling to me that Miles Robinson or Boca Negra said the other day, I think it was a couple days ago, there is no international interest or European interest in Miles Robinson. Well, then those fuckers are stoned out of their minds, smoking meth or whatever. Because he's a way better player than Mark McKenzie.
And it's also possible that he's referring to serious interest. I mean, there could be some lower division teams that are showing interest, but simply are just outpriced. I mean, he is a center back, so it's more likely that they're not going to drop a ton of money on him.
Boca Negra was talking like they have literally no one calling.
No, I'm trying to look at a silver lining here, Derek.
I know, but no one's calling. Hey, Europe, wake the fuck up. Miles Robinson's probably the best center back we have on the team. Counting Brooks. I'm counting Brooks. Wake the fuck up. Quit signing guys like McKenzie and sign Miles Robinson.
Well, keep signing McKenzie and players like that.
Well, that's fine. Yes. Sign Austin Trusty. I don't give a shit. Sign Walker Zimmerman. It's a little late for him at 29 or 28 or whatever he's at. But holy Jesus H. If you are a team in Europe and you are looking for a center back, I don't know how you are just passing over Miles Robinson. Now, does he still make mistakes? Yes, he does. But he's by far a better technical, a better physical player, a faster player than almost every center back we have. All right, I said it. I'm done. And that ends on Walker Zimmerman as the defenders, Brett. And he's probably going to be the captain, would be my guess of the team. And that's why he's there. Because when Adams isn't there, he's the captain. And let's face it, Walker Zimmerman's been really good. I mean, he's been really reliable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't be here. We can talk about some of the players that are left off. Sands is injured, even if he wasn't in the playoffs.
Well, and we gotta consider one thing that Berhalter mentions in his interview is the reason that this camp is even in existence. Instead of having the typical January camp, which of course we've got the late January window, but we have this camp in order to keep some of our more consistent call up from MLS. Keep it moving. Ones who are not in the current playoffs right now.
Yeah, but there are some that are not on here.
The only I mean, outside of Robinson, I mean, I know DK is not there, but I mean, when was the last window that DK was called into?
DK's not there because he's beat up. Berhalter said that he needs rest, and plus he's had no off season. He went from MLS off season, MLS, and the MLS off season he went and got a loan in England, and then he came back and continued to play. He's played for
I think his off season occurred after the Gold Cup when he was recovering from his shoulder injury.
That's about his only off season he's had.
Yeah, sure.
So he's been playing relentlessly. Areola's not here because he doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Areola is taking a break, taking a rest, apparently.
Icing his knees.
Yeah. I'm thinking about yeah, exactly. No, we already mentioned Sands.
Yeah.
Legit is in Hawaii. He's in Hawaii right now. With his, I don't know, his fiance, or did they get married?
They're married.
Okay. Yeah. And she's like, what does she do? She's a pop star of some sort. I don't know what she does. I don't know. Maybe she's just like a social media star. I don't know. But anyhow, I guess he's getting a rest too. So the excuse for all those guys missing is rest. And I know Filippo said, God, I hope it wasn't the excuse that it was just rest. Just wish they weren't going to be there. But more than likely, Legit is still in the picture. And so is Areola. And so is DK. But some of them need some break. They need a break. So let's get to midfielders. This is
hold on. I do want to jump back there. I know they need a break and all, but we are talking about 16 days from now until game time. And it's not like they're going to be doing, super hardcore conditioning. they're all in shape, end of season shape and everything like that. So they should all be good there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like even that 16 days just in practices should be relatively relaxing, and then you have all the time that you can recover between the practices. It's always a possibility. I don't discredit it. I think that it's perfectly fine to say, "Hey, DK, why don't you sit home, chill? You've earned it." Robinson, you've earned it. You've had a long season, a lot of games. Like you said, Legit to Hawaii. I'm assuming maybe honeymoon if he's recently married. I don't know, or just unfortunate timing on
vacation. I need to get away. Vacation. He needs to just get away. Yeah,
I'm just saying
it's a rough year for him. His sister died.
Yeah,
he got banned for using the P word. It was a rough year for Legit.
I forgot about that.
U.S. men's national team fans hating on him. It was a rough year for him, so he needed a break. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think the Miles Robinson thing is legit. From what I hear, he had some minor knocks anyhow that he needs to, and he had a long season that he played for us. So yeah. And you know how Atlanta is so protective of their players anyhow.
Especially Miles, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, nah, you can't have them, bitch. So I think that's kind of what happened, and I think Gregg was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's fine. Yeah, let him get some rest. Bello, we need. Lennon, we need. Okay, weird. Atlanta's like, we're giving you 2 players already, so leave Miles alone. Midfielders was probably the most depressing group of this roster.
My response to you was, check out that midfield.
It is. You did say that, and I thought, what does he mean exactly? It's bad? Yes, it's bad. As in, there is no creativity in this midfield whatsoever. I'm only hoping that Taylor Booth and Caden Clark are counted as actual midfielders, because otherwise this is a pitiful midfield group. Kellen Acosta, we know what we get from him. Okay, fine. I expected him to be there. Cole Bassett, yeah, you had a great season. This is a reward for that. All right, good. Johnny Cardosa, yes, we want to have you here. And he also wanted Alan Sonora as well from Independiente, but Independiente said, no. We're still in regular season. Cardosa's last game is early enough for his last game of the season's early enough. He can get there still, but no, Independiente is like Alan Sonora. First of all, is coming off a couple knocks, not bad ones. He'll be back and he's going to play the rest of the season. He is an integral player for us. So if you're wondering why he isn't here, it wasn't because Gregg didn't try. He tried. And then we've got Christian Roldan. Again, great season. Great MLS season by Roldan, regular season.
So, yeah, that takes me to a point on that in the sense is you can see where his ceiling is. He's had a great season with Seattle. The January camp is usually the reward, not every single window.
Mm-hmm. Well, I get that too. Yes. But I understand why Roldan's on here. One, he's a great favorite. Two, he had a great season.
Yeah.
So you're going to call him in. This was like totally expected.
Yeah.
We could have called other people in. Definitely. Could have been other people. People say Mihailovic. Mihailovic is in Bologna in Italy right now. He's in their training camp. He's, they're looking at him as maybe somebody they're going to sign.
But we can call him back and all if you want.
I mean,
no, it's the joke. Is that
no?
He's training for a potential move to Europe, and people are like, why isn't he in this camp? I'm like, well, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean, Flack's not on this list either. But let's face it, Flock had he had like really good portions of the season. Then he had some really like inconsistent games in a row, and I think that probably kept him off the team. And we were talking about Sands being injured, and somebody mentioned Matt Polster. I mean, Matt Polster's what, 30 something now? What, he's got to be in his 30s. 30, 29, somewhere around there. Matt Polster had a great year for New England. I'm not denying that, but his time has passed. And that's not what this is for. This Camp Cupcake is to find out who's going to play for us going forward.
In jumping back to Flack, he's not going to be included because he's going to be playing Sunday for Philly.
That's right. He's still in the playoffs as well. So, and then Jackson Ewell is on this midfield roster. Yeah. And I mean, here's the guy who even had a shitty season with his club. So I just don't get it. I really don't. I know he's a Gregg favorite, but I mean, this could have been a time to test somebody else. I know the Portland kid is still in the playoffs too, but he's also injured. Forgot his name. Anyhow, yeah, I mean,
Erickson. Is that who you're thinking of?
Yes.
Okay.
Eric Williams.
Yes.
Eric Williams. So yeah, he's still injured, so he can't be on this team. Otherwise, he would be here. But even if he was not injured, he'd be playing for Portland in the playoffs. Would have liked to seen him. Somebody said Andreas Perea from Orlando. He's not playing that good. Just didn't have that great of a season, frankly. I'm not really that impressed about anything he's doing, but I probably would have brought him before Jackson Ewell because we know what Jackson Ewell is, and he had a shitty season. So there's that. We'll move to forwards. Taylor Booth is listed as a forward, amazingly, for whatever reason. I don't know why. He's a midfielder.
I feel like maybe USSF and maybe even Gregg's team hasn't been scouting him. They're just like, hey, he's doing pretty well over there with Bayern too. We'll go with that. He's scoring a couple goals, getting some assists. He must be playing advanced roles. We'll just throw him in the striker.
At St. Polten, he definitely played as a 6. So I think they need to rethink this. And then Caden Clark, same thing. It's kind of like Caden Clark as a forward. I kind of have always said that he'd throw him as a winger, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, just look at all the players they play. The obvious one is Gio. I mean, he's I think he fits that mold more so than any of the dueling eights that Berhalter plays. So makes sense.
Right. Cade Cowell, who was formed out of a cast of Jordan Morris, also made this team. And he, just like Jordan Morris, needs to get better at certain things with his feet. So we'll see how that works.
Who was the other San Jose kid that you were talking about?
Jackson Ewell?
No.
Oh, Kikanovich. Kikanovich. Yeah.
The one you're saying keeping an eye on him type of thing.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him thrown in here, actually, as well, instead of Gyasi Zardes, who we already know what he is. And
by Berhalter's own words, is not going to play.
Yeah, they're helping him back to fitness. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, then getting him back into the mold of things. I mean, it's just what does it say when we look at Zardes, we look at Long, and who else? There was another injury in there, wasn't there? Oh, Morris. Morris is just returning.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at player. Morris has what? He had like 2 games in there.
Yeah.
Before the end of the season. Zardes is injured / recovering. Long is still recovering, but that's 3 spots out of the 26 that probably won't, or I'm saying won't see the pitch. Morris might see a few minutes at the end type thing, in my opinion, but
yeah. And then there's a lot of pressure by Gregg in that interview where he's like, yeah, Morris is here to see if he's going to be available going forward in the qualifying. He says either he is or he's not, and we're going to find out right now. Wow, shit. If I'm Jordan Morris, I'm like, shit, I just came off, 2 games and a major knee surgery, and now I've got to prove myself. Whoa. But he's got truth.
It's an uphill battle because MLS isn't even going to start preseason until like February, March area.
And it's the truth. And Gregg finally spoke the truth. That is the truth. The truth is he's behind Weah, Pulisic, Aronson. Who else out wide? Well, yeah, probably, but no, I mean, Conrad, maybe
Giocaccini.
I mean, listen, dude, the battle for wing spots is a battle, and so I get what he said there.
Sargent.
I like Sargent's playing winger for Norwich, so there you go. Yeah, what a battle, indeed.
Yeah.
And when we got, we already spoke about Zardes. Shouldn't be here, but oh well. Jordan Morris, we already spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. I wish him the best. Jesus Ferreira's here again as another 9, false 9.
9.
I mean, people say, well, yeah, number 9. That's a Beatles thing. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. I like Jesus Ferreira. So I'm fine with it. And then Pepe makes sense. Although people are bitching about him having a bad end of the season. I mean, come on, Jesus, give him a break. It's been a rough go here. I mean, he's had to play for the US, fly back to Dallas. Dallas sucks. He's playing on Dallas team that isn't very good. Now let's mention a few players that were left off that people have mentioned. Paxton Pomykal. Have you watched him play this year? He's not good. And I realize they're throwing him out wide, and that's not really his position. But those injuries have taken a toll on his legs. He is not the same person, not the same player.
The same argument we make for Leggett too, right?
Exactly. He got injured. And if you're an LA Galaxy fan, you did notice a drop-off in Leggett's performances after surgery and after his comeback. He was not as quick. He couldn't make the same cuts. Yeah, it was still fine going backwards and forwards, but not side to side. Things change when you have serious knee operations. We're going to see that from Morris. I mean, this is not his first one either. It's his second serious knee injury. Can he still cut side to side? Charlie Davies, after his accident, was still fast north and south, but east to west, not so good anymore. Couldn't make the sharp cuts. So it happens when you fuck with your knees. That's what happens. I'm thinking of anybody else we may have missed. Daryl DK didn't make this team, but again, we mentioned he needs a rest. Bobby Wood, somebody mentioned him. All right. Yeah. I mean, but he's still in the playoffs. So yeah, He's not going to be on this team.
Even if he was in the playoffs, I mean, he spent half the season in reserves and made like a nice goal, the tying goal.
Yes, that was
recently.
Awesome.
Yeah,
yep,
phenomenal. Maybe if we didn't have any options, and quite frankly, looking at the roster, we probably could have fit him in there. But yeah, still in the playoffs. Not contention.
And that was the winning goal, by the way.
Yeah,
not the tying goal. Yeah,
I'm thinking of a different game then.
Yeah, this is the playoffs, last game, winning goal, extra time, I believe it was even. It was really late in the game. I'll put it that way. And then the last question was Richie Ledesma. Richie Ledesma's just getting back from a very, very, very serious injury. He hasn't even played a game for PSV2 yet.
Yeah, I don't see them. I don't. Since he's just recovering, I definitely don't see them releasing him. So
yeah, well, there are people panicking. Oh God, Mexico's gonna steal him. Not if he's not playing. They're not. They're not going to steal him because he can't play for us or them when if his knees are still
Chile's
wrong.
Still after Soto.
They can have him.
So I did before we log off here. I did want to talk about a couple things from the Berhalter interview.
There's more to go. Oh
There's
my
God. A couple things I wrote down about it. Yeah.
All right, you go for it.
So obviously the camp is getting ready to start here soon. And then the game's the 19th, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
So that ends, and then Berhalter had mentioned that the January camp starts on the 8th of January.
But
the first game's not until the 27th.
That's really early, but a lot of those players are on break because, as you know, the Bundesliga takes their Bundesliga winter break. So
I wanted to look that up because I knew they all took their breaks, but most leagues in Europe only take like a 2-week break, sort of like a Christmas break for students here in the US.
Not Bundesliga.
No, Bundesliga starts back up on the 17th. So that brings up a question. Do the Bundesliga players that could be practicing with the team and everything starting from the 8th, do they stay there in stateside and practice and everything like that, and then go back to Europe on the 17th and play like the one game just to fly back to play in that next window? Or do you think they're going to be left in Germany and they're just going to be called in the week of the games,
Yeah, that's a hard one to determine right now. Yeah.
I mean, England, France, Italy, they're all 2 weeks. So, I mean, they're starting their season back up before the camp even starts. So if the camp is starting on the 8th, that leads me to believe that he's going to have a predominantly large MLS camp called in. Like even if it's this roster, but called in to stay sharp, and maybe not all of them by any means, but a chunk of them called in to stay sharp, and then we bring in our Euros as the window comes in, and then send the rest of the MLSs home.
When's the next
more time to gauge? I don't know.
When's the next qualifier?
January 27th.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's
can't have
hard to say.
Again, if he's starting on the 8th, he can't have any of the Euros. Maybe the Bundesliga players if they're home for a little bit. But then again, they're going to be flying home to start on the 17th again. So it's
So wait, the FIFA qualifier is on the 27th.
Yeah,
and the FIFA window for that would start when? I think they're all going to just fly back for that.
So the 20. Oh geez, let's take a look. When is the 27th? I'm pulling up a calendar right now. The 27th is a Thursday, so I would wager that most players are going to be coming in Sunday, Monday, so the 23rd or 24th. And 17th is the Monday prior to that. So they're going to be going back. They're going to be in Europe as of the 17th, starting their season again. Mid-game, weekend games, I don't know. And then they're going to be flying to the United States the next Monday.
As far as I understand it, yeah, that's how it would work. And then...
But why start the camp on the 8th then?
I think he's going to bring in some of the Bundesliga guys who are on break. Some of them, not all of them, maybe. I don't know.
But they may be home anyways. So maybe they come in for a handful of days and then fly back to Germany beforehand. I don't know. But
yeah.
That seems weird. I don't know if they're going to have a like a predominantly large MLS camp during that time period, and then send people home come window time.
I think you'll see like Christian Kappas and some other guys that play in the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish leagues.
Yeah,
because they're off at that time. You might see some. You might see Sabi, for instance. Who knows? But yeah, he'll work it out. He'll try to make it the best of that situation. But you had another one?
Well, I mean, Berhalter talked about the stadium picks for this upcoming window.
Cold.
Yeah. And I mean, he basically said what everybody also said. You know, they probably picked it because of location to Canada, and they were always waiting for Canada, apparently. Yeah. Because Canada was picking between where they're playing now and also Vancouver. So that could have been, instead of having Midwest locations, it would have been the West Coast, you know?
Yep.
But one thing he did mention that I thought was interesting, I didn't think of, I mean, I knew that the who were playing in Minnesota was going to have a different experience. But I mean, we're playing Honduras in Minnesota. And I guess Honduras is coming back from a home game in Honduras like a day and a half prior to that, you know? So they're going to be leaving. They're going to be leaving a game where they've been playing 90 minutes in like 80-degree weather, humidity, and all that stuff, and then flying into Minnesota.
They're going to be cold.
That is a jolt.
They are going to be cold, and that's a good thing. I mean, remember
we're already freezing our asses off from Canada. So
remember the Costa Rica Colorado game? Hell yeah, dude. Snow. Yeah. The snow, what was it called? Snow something. They had a name for that. But
Snow Bowl, or it wasn't Snow Bowl.
We won it, and they complained about the snow. Hey, I'm fine. And then I can't remember who asked the question. But
Snow Classico.
He was like, is it okay? And he was like, well, isn't this gonna hamper the way you want to play? Might, but I think it's gonna hamper the way they want to play a lot more.
Well, and it's like, they're like, is the field going to be, you know, rock hard? Is there going to be snow on the field? And it's like, yeah, there might be snow on the field, but we were also guaranteed that the field is going to be soft.
The Honduras
center
back has been removed from the game because he has frostbite of the testicles. That's what I'm saying.
All I can think about is Cool Runnings when Sanka comes out of the ice cream truck and breaks off a chunk of his hair.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's what will happen. They are not going to like that weather at all. It's not going to be. And
don't get us wrong on this, because there are a number of Honduran players that are playing in MLS that will play in cold weather. That's true. But again, it's a shock to play however many hundreds of miles, if not 1,000 miles, whatever, from Honduras to Minnesota in about a 2-day span. And then they're going to have to attempt to assimilate to it when they're just sweating balls in Honduras. Nah, that's going to be rough.
Yeah, those sweaty balls are going to freeze in Minnesota. All right, until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we're going to move on because there's more shows to come.